My journey began in Montana. It was a November night in 2004, and I was en route to Calgary, Canada. My family comes from Canada, and I was making the drive from my home in Billings to Calgary. The main highways were shutting down in preparation for a snowstorm, and few dared to drive out in the impending snowstorm. Me? I was a cocky 20-year-old who didn't give a damn. I figured, I was born in Canada, I drive a F-150, I can handle some snowy roads. Rural Montana is eerie at night, especially the back roads. The main route from Kalispell to Lethbridge, Canada, was closed, and I was forced to take a back route, a seemingly endless 2-lane road that probably hadn't been worked on in decades. I remember turning my turn signal on and heading north on that road. It was about 11 p.m., and the snow showers were beginning to turn into a windy, snowy mess, with my windshield wipers just barely clearing off the falling snow. I wasn't worried about the weather, nor the ice coating the 2-laned road, nor the health of my mother. No, I was preoccupied with the feeling that something was behind me. See, the road was entirely straight and cut through a dense pine forest. The road was devoid of any curves, turns, or signs. It was merely a 50-mile-long straight shot through a dense forest. Straight, endless. My brights only exposed the sheer desolation, the isolation of the environment in which I was in. I hadn't seen an automobile in half an hour. I felt exposed, yet utterly alone at the same time. To calm my nerves, I inserted a Toby Keith CD into my radio and cranked the volume up. The soothing sound of country guitar was beginning to relax me. It was alleviating the feeling of unease. About a minute into the song, the track became jumbled. The guitar solo was abruptly interrupted by scratching sounds. It was akin to a nail on a chalkboard. It was absolutely unbearable. As I adjusted the volume, my F-150 lost traction on the ice, and within seconds, I found my car coming to a screeching halt. My hood trapped in a large snowbank, approximately 20 feet off the side of the road. "Fuck," I screamed. I turned on my hazards and proceeded to curse like a sailor as I stepped out of the car and into the snowy landscape. The blizzard hindered the visibility to the point where I could hardly see 10 feet in front of me. A ferocious icy wind was burning my face, and the feeling of unease only grew. I threw on an extra parka and turned my car off. That's when I heard his voice. "Adam," he said. "Adam." It was a voice that absolutely sent shivers up my spine. A voice that caused me to tense up like a marble statue. It was the voice of my father. "Adam, is that you?" I gulped and could barely breathe. My father was a park ranger in Banff, and then at Glacier National Park when we moved to America. When I was 10 years old, he got lost in a snowstorm and was never heard from again. His body was never found, and while the police searched for weeks, he was eventually declared dead. I didn't have time to draw parallels between my situation and his situation, and I let emotion overtake me. "Dad?" I continued. "Dad. Dad. I can't see you." "I can see you just fine," it said. "Come a little closer." I froze. The seconds of emotion and adrenaline had abruptly came to a halt. I'm a rational man. My father was dead. He had been dead for 10 years. Something else was going on. "Adam," did I stutter? "Come with me," it said. "Come with me. It's nice and warm where I stand. Come with me." I still couldn't see whatever the fuck was speaking, and I had no time to play games. I hopped in my car and started the ignition. The damn thing wouldn't start. "Adam, your car won't start. It's futile," it said. The voice was distorted this time. It sounded as if my father had the flu, a real deep, raspy voice. Despite the freezing cold, I could feel nervous sweat dripping from my brow. The slow scare I mentioned was sinking in. I couldn't think. My hands shook relentlessly as I tried to start the car. Against my better judgment, I stepped out the pickup truck and ran the opposite direction. I had never run faster in my life. The only force keeping my ass from running out of breath was pure fear and adrenaline. Behind me, I heard it calling my name, its voice becoming more distorted each second.
"Adam, Adam, Adam."
Within minutes, as the snow relentlessly beat down on me, and as the moon became shrouded by pine trees and snow, I found myself in the middle of a pine forest, lost completely. Its voice, however, was slowly disappearing. As it faded into the night, so did my consciousness. The cold had gotten to me, and I hadn't realized it. Before I drifted into an unconscious sleep, I slowly put two and two together. It's November. My dad. November. Snowstorm. Lost forever. Those were my final thoughts before waking up in Great Falls Hospital. Surrounded by doctors, I glanced around me. I was dizzy and dozed in and out of consciousness before finally waking up. I drew a comparison between what happened to my father when I was 10 and the near death I had avoided. I shivered. After minutes of recuperating, the doctor beside my bed explained what had happened. Mister, you are a lucky man. You were found unconscious 200 yards away from a country road. Your body temperature was 88 Fahrenheit. I'm amazed that you seemingly won't suffer any long-term effects. Who found me? I asked, completely dazed, still recalling the thing that had chased me. Some man driving to Missoula saw your Ford deep in the woods off the side of the road, your hazards reflecting some light. Minutes later, he heard groaning and found your motionless body in the snow. The doctor continued, I only have one real question before I let you rest and talk to your mother. What drove you to leave your automobile and run into a pine forest in the middle of a snowstorm? He coughed and chuckled as he said, I mean, come on, what happened? Did you see a ghost? As he laughed at his corny joke, I thought to myself, I wish I had seen it. Number 2. A hand reaches down, grabs a handful, and throws it into my open mouth. Cold. A crunchy, nearly sticky feeling. A taste like iron, like blood. The taste of snow is mostly the food residue and slime and bacteria and dead cells on your tongue. I can still see every moment of that day. Play, rewind, slow motion, it's all there. A movie, locked in my head for the rest of my life. It snowed today. When I saw the first snowflakes this morning, sitting in my car, I felt a shiver. Since then, the tape keeps playing, keeps rewinding, keeps playing. I was 8. Dad threw the snow boots on my bed. Come on. But it's freezing. He laughed with that deep, growling laugh that I miss. There's no reason to be scared. I'm not scared. It's just a forest. Look at all the snow. It will be awesome. We can take the sled. I'm not a baby. He smiled and left. While putting my boots on, I called down the hall, but not to the graveyard. A forest of broad leaves in winter, each becomes its own wooden cross. Down the corridor, down the stairs, Dad threw my gloves at me, then the conifer one. Snow deeper than my ankles. We crunched our way forward on the sidewalk, onwards on the small dent in the snow that usually is a path. A few steps before we reached the trees, Dad stopped. He closed his eyes, stretched his arms to the side, and breathed the cold air deep into his lungs. He smiled. I brushed my hat back and looked up to the sky. It's not even 3. He opened his eyes, looked up, and shrugged. It's winter. Between the evergreens, the sky was barely visible. Dark green was dark gray. In the distance, gray turned into black. Dad, is it darker over there? You scare easy, don't you? He reached for a handful of snow, and I quickly turned around. Hey, I'm not going to throw it. I waited, but nothing hit me. I turned slowly to look at him. His right glove was stretched towards me, palm up, with a small heap of white snow. He was chewing something. Taste it. He taught me about the bacteria and the dead cells on your tongue. What you taste when you eat snow is yourself, your own dying cells. Of course, he didn't say it like that. Dad had always liked winter. When I was too small to walk, he had pulled my sled. Later, he had carried me on his shoulders. Then someday, I had to walk beside him. It was weird for me to walk through a frozen landscape with no goal or purpose, just to walk into the forest and back. This is nature, I know. This is real life, not like your TV, Dad. No, really. This is the world we live in. This is what you need to realize. This is what you need to experience. You can't become a real man unless you have felt and smelled and tasted the world around you. Dark gray on lighter gray. Dad, is something over there? It's just the wind and your mind. The dark gray disappeared in the other grays. But there are deer and stuff, right? Are you sure there aren't any wolves? Dad laughed. That laugh again. My stomach tingles just thinking about his deep, full, growling and roaring laughter. He grabbed a handful of snow. I was not prepared for the cold white being crunched all over my face. The cold white. In that light, it was just the cold gray snow fight. He threw, I threw, he threw more, I ran, he chased me. Throw, chase, until my breath ran out. I hid behind a tree. He threw snowball after snowball against it, and a fine dust of snow rained on me. Fast, one-handed snowballs, like a human machine gun. Finally, he paused, and I rushed around the tree to throw a big, icy hard ball at him. I hit his chest. Only one of his snowballs missed my face. We both laughed. This happiness, he only had it in winter, out there. He closed his eyes and breathed deeply again. This is life. I grabbed snow with both my hands. I'm not a fool. His weight fell on me, pressed my face in the snow. I screamed, and he laughed more. Let me go. Not until you become a man. You're killing me. Become a man then. I am a man. I am a man. Let me go. No. Eat it. What? His hand held a snowball towards my face, gray as the world around us. Taste it. Why? Someday you'll thank me. I wrestled one of my hands free. Took the snowball. You're crazy, Dad. Took a bite. He rolled off me. Now that's a man. This is disgusting. He got up. It's just snow. It tastes different from the one before. He grinned. Maybe there's some wolf pee in there. I'm serious, and look, there are some darker spots. You shouldn't listen so much to your mother. He took the remainder of the snowball from my hand and threw it through the trees. I didn't see where it landed. The world was so dark that I didn't see much at all. Dad, it's really dark now. It's not even 4. Let's go home, please. He brushed the snow off his clothes. Fine. We followed our footprints back. The trees stood closer than before. The sky was more gray than black. Somewhere to the right, again and again, a gray moved on top of all the other grays. Dad, there really is something. You can feel when others are nervous. You can see it from the way their eyes narrow slightly. Dad's eyes narrowed. There's nothing. Are you sure this is the way we came? He pointed towards the footprints in the snow. Those are yours. Are you sure we're alone? He looked around quickly. I too looked, but the gray was thick, suffocating, impenetrable. Shades of gray in all directions. A line of footprints, our only guide. His pace quickened. Yes, I'm really sure. Okay. I didn't mention that there was a moving gray on gray to our right. I saw his eyes move there. I saw his eyes scan the ground. He took a step to the left, closer to me, then stopped and let me pass. Behind me, he broke a stick off a fallen branch that was sticking through the snow. With 2 big steps, he called up. He was to my left. The stick was in his right hand. Let's hurry. I'm really cold. I nodded with my head straight, but with my eyes to the right. The dark gray moving. A shape larger than Dad. I'm scared. He let me pass again and switched to my right side. There's nothing to be scared of. His steps got bigger. So big, I had trouble keeping up. His breathing, my breathing, and our feet crunching through the thick snow, and the wind whispering, brushing through the trees and branches. Snow falling. We were walking fast. The snowflakes were gray. His head was turned slightly to the right. The dark gray was still there, behind the trees, keeping pace, getting bigger. For a moment, his head turned to me. Let's have some fun. His voice was flat. I walked faster. I just want to be home. You really don't need to be scared. The world was so dark that the tips of the trees fused with the sky. I hate this forest. Okay, you want to go home? Let's have a race. I didn't answer. I ran. Dad ran. The gray ran. I heard it running. Dad pulled past me. Come on, you can beat me. Even while running, he held the stick high. I can't do faster. Yes, you can. My legs were hurting. My feet slipping in the snow. I can't. You're a man. You can. A light peeked through the trees. A loud crack of breaking wood from our right. I could run faster. Faster even than I could think where to run. Just straight. Just after Dad. Just towards the light. My feet flying through the snow. The air more and more thick with gray snowflakes. Him ahead of me shouting, "Come on!" I'm trying. My legs flying. There was a stick or a stone. My left leg didn't land where it should have landed. A scream. A pain in my head. And cold everywhere. The taste of cold snow and warm blood in my mouth. His voice, "Get up, get up." Hands pulling me up. A scream. It was his. The hands let go. His feet ran past me. There was a bang, cracking wood. A moan that wasn't his. "Get up." My hands pressed on the cold ground. "Get away." Then he screamed. Again the sound of cracking wood. Heavy thuds on the ground. I pushed myself up on shaking legs, my whole head towards the light. Run. A loud thud behind me. The popping sound of many small breaking branches. My legs running. My mind pure panic. His moan behind me. I passed the last tree. White snowflakes flew by my face. Dad! Behind me, just gray. Gray sky, fusing with gray trees. Fusing with gray nothing. No sound but the wind. A path. Light gray fusing into the dark gray of the distance. There the movie ends. Then it rewinds. Then it plays again. The police was called at 5:22 p.m. A snowstorm. When they arrived, not even 20 minutes later, there were no footprints to be seen. When the storm was over, a search party found his right glove. Every year, when the first white falls from the sky, I put on his glove, my hand. His hand reaches down, grabs a handful, and throws it into my open mouth. Cold, a crunchy, nearly sticky feeling, a taste like iron, like blood.